And it's time for the on-air book club with Titilayo Oyinso. And it's my pleasure, it's my honor to be part of a program that gets to talk about books and, of course, the messages within. I've always felt that you can travel to anywhere in the world within the pages of a book. You can learn anything within the pages of a book. You can connect with different cultures, different norms, different ideals. You can change your life just by reading the right book. And hopefully, we're bringing to you one of such books today. We have with us an amazing author. Her name is Dinma Nwobi, and she wrote a book called Happify Your Life. Now, it's not her first book, but let me give a proper introduction to who she is. Dinma Nwobi is fondly called the Queen of Happiness and Human Flourishing. Now, she loves to inspire and educate people on the science of human flourishing, well-being, and resilience. She is the founder of Happify Humanity Project with an audacious vision to make the tools for optimal mental and emotional well-being, human flourishing, and meaningful living accessible and affordable to at least 1 billion humans by 2031. Now, that's what they call goals. Now, she originally worked in the banking sector for about 8 years before volunteering and resigning to pursue a career in creating replicable systems and easy to adapt solutions to foster human flourishing. Now, she is a well trained and experienced practitioner of positive psychology and applied positive psychology coach from the Flourishing Center in the US. And she's licensed as an emotional intelligence assessor and a practitioner of emotional intelligence from 6 Seconds Emotional Intelligence Network in the US. And of course, to cap it all up, she's a certified master practitioner of neurolinguistic programming. Please help me welcome Dinma Nwobi.
Hello,
Hi.
glad to be here.
I'm actually so happy to have you with us today. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
It's my pleasure to be here. And how's your day been?
So far, so good. It's been one of those days, where you started out well and it gets better. So we thank God. We thank God. You've put together an interesting book today. But now I know that it wasn't a day's work. It was probably quite a few months. Talk to us about how your book, Happify Your Life, came to be.
Yeah, Titi, thank you to be sharing this journey with you and the listeners. So on the 12th year, precisely 12th of September 2021, I had just recovered malaria, or so the test said. Okay, but then I was previous to that day. You know how you're sick and tired of not feeling well. I'm not having enough energy to just full self. So I went to bed that day after jamming to Ara Stars and feeling. So that early Sunday morning, I stepped into the restroom and I heard it. Write a book. The title shall be Happify Your Life and teach mental and emotional well-being and happiness a lifestyle. This and like I wrote on the pages of the book, I sat down. This inspiration village, which is one of my amazing places where I get inspiration. In fact, that's in the morning. So I sit down on the toilet seat and I'm just scribbling on my phone now, and I'm just writing the coordination of the chapters and the chapter. And it was morning. We usually will attend the first mass on Sunday. Dressed up, ran to church, and I can confess today that all that Sunday, I can't tell you I heard what the priest was preaching or anything that through mass till mass ended. I was just writing away on my phone. Came, and immediately I came back from church. I posted it on my WhatsApp status to say, hey, the inspiration I got, and this is the process I'm taking. And from that day up on, kept documenting the process and sharing it with my tribe as the inspiration book unfolded into a movement. And right now, I can say is a revolution in Nigeria, Africa, and globally.
That term, happify your life, where did that term where have you done some research on what it means to happify? Because I hadn't heard that word before. Now you said it came to you, but I know that you must have gone searching for what it means.
Okay, interestingly, when I, the word, I had to check if there was a word like that exists in the dictionary, like that per se. But then, the way I literally was eating, breathing the inspiration that I was sharing with anybody who cared to listen. And so my brother, when I shared it with him, because I also told him I was going to develop it into an app and be able to feast on it on the go. And he said to me, have you checked in like a happily app? And I'm like, okay, so probably somebody, but the concept of Happify is stemming from the research. And when I say Happify, like I shared in the book, I wanted to clarify to the emotion of happy. I'm talking of the full range of, so I'm talking happiness, I'm talking amusement, I'm talking serenity, excitement, joy, love, zest. So the whole range of positive emotion is the term Happify. So when you hear Happify your life, is actually to go for experiences that will give you positive emotions. So rather than saying go for positive, just say Happify your life. And I'm saying do things that will bring positive emotions, because from the study on emotions, that positive emotions build. When we experience positive emotion, it helps. We want to do positive emotion. If I'm feeling zestful, I want to probably dance or hook up with a friend, the time with a friend. Maybe I feel happy. Or if I'm feeling motivated, something purposeful, and in doing that, I feel joy, or I could feel grateful. So cause us to want to go for more positive emotions, which is why we say positive emotions. In addition to that, we also realize that when we feel positive, increases our resources socially. If you are feeling positive, and be with, nobody wants to be with somebody that is always angry, moody, depressed, somebody that is zestful. Like I just came back from a trip with my sisters to Dubai, and my status and say, hey, Dinma, it was as if we went to the journey with you. It was filled with zest, sharing the experience with them. And someone said, I don't need to go to Dubai, just you being there. People want to hang around people who are exhibiting positive emotion. So it grows your social capital. Also find out that when we are feeling positive emotions, it builds our psychological, your intellectual. You can tap into your intellectual resources because you are most creative. Down, lonely, you're not going to be creative. You can't think creative solutions. All right. So that's why positive emotion grows our intellectual capital. Positive emotions have an undoing effect on negative emotions. So let's say somebody that is grief. Of course, you're not going to go.
Sadly, I've heard everything you've said just now, and I know there's probably someone watching right now that's like, this happiness na scam, you know. um and there are a lot of people who act happy and act like they have everything together, everything put together, and all their ducks in a row, but inside they are truly just dying. They're in a dark space, and they put on a big smile for the entire world, and they don't know what to do next. So this is like an opportunity for us to connect with someone that is probably going through something and literally needs steps to sort of climb back into a happy place?
Titi, thank you for that. I like to say, when you said somebody listening might say, see that I literally just started smiling, because prior to writing Happify Your Life in e-format, I titled it that scam called happiness. What you need to enjoy your own kind of in difficult, trying times. To say that the concept of people feeling is not new, but I always want to ask, when somebody says happiness, or curiously inquire to know, what does happiness mean to you? And I cover your life. And remember, when I say happify, we're talking beyond happiness, range of positive emotions. But let's even look at the concept of happiness itself. Things based on my work, my studies as a positive psychology coach, lived experience as a human being, a wife and a mother, and of course a practice with hundreds of people through life to help them identify for them. I have come to isolate that there are 4 critical components that it means to be happy. And so I define happiness as enjoying a satisfying and meaningful life. So the 4 components there is the state of it is that sense of flourishing. It is the sense of satisfaction and the sense of, when we look at those 4 components, you would say there are 3 things you can deduce from them. Being happy, as defined in Happify, is not a state of, is not, we call it in positive psychology that the Happify state is not, nobody who is living in this world can be excited in that jolly, no problem zone 24 hours of the day, every month, and every month of the year. That will mean that the person has already transitioned. So that's not what it means to be happy, where you are always excited. Again, life, which is important for us to know. And I shared in Happify Your Life, the night bird, the lady who came on Americans Got Talent, severe case of cancer, and the doctors had given her a 2% chance. It says to us, 2% is not 0%. So happy being not a perfect life where you don't have any challenges, where everything is working like you a child. No, it is you being able to accept life, the components there. For anybody listening to me that is wondering, so if happiness is not, can I increase my happiness? You need to keep practicing radical self-acceptance till you can embrace all that life offers you, and then be able to end and know and have the skills to navigate the unpleasant ones. You will be okay. So happiness is not happyology. It's not a perfect life that has everything figured out. It is your ability, which is why we say that this is much more than a state. It is a skill. You have to learn, live through the challenges of life in a way that is, because negativity will always come, but how do you navigate them? Those are the skills that can improve. And then again, the sense of meaning that is attached to happiness. So somewhere in my book, I rose an aliveness, because yes, being happy is a felt purpose, which is why we need to find meaning in the evil things of life. I mean, I've worked with a lady who felt that being a stay-at-home was her not living a purposeful life. But until she came to purpose, is you loving what you do and doing what you love. Had to reframe in her brain what she understood as being at home. And until privilege, she didn't increase her happiness until she did that. So how do you feel affairs of life? It's a skill and it can be learned, and which is part of what is covered in. So for everybody out there, I don't wake up every day dancing on social media, hot with my child because he's not doing what I need him to do. There are days I feel depressed. You will have feelings of depression. The difference, how do I say to harvest the wisdom in it? Because every emotion is data. The skill to
I want to touch on that actually. Emotions. You have a chapter 8, where you talk about emotions being your friends, and you say sit with them. This thing where you talk, sit with your emotions. Some people don't know how to handle or manage their emotions. Now, I've had discussions with parenting experts before, where we have discussions about children being taught to understand different emotions. And there are some parents out there that actually believe the only emotion a child should have is joy. Now, I'm of the school of thought that children probably between, let's say, the age of 2 and 6 should be
yeah.
given the opportunity to experience a various spectrum of emotions. Children should be allowed to get angry. Children should be allowed to feel sad. They should be allowed to feel confused so that they can understand these emotions and learn to deal with them. For case in point, the temper tantrum. The temper tantrum is something that adults feel like they grow out of as a child, but there are some adults that go into temper tantrums and they don't even understand where it came from. So let's go through this matter of sitting with your emotions.
Titi, like you were just talking about, we are greatly to push away our emotions. We
Mm,
are also social, not all bad or negative emotions. So from emotionally, understand that every emotion is data. So let me just about the neurobiology of emotions.
okay.
So when does our body secrete emotion? Something happens to us or something happens in our environment. Nature has something is triggered in our pituitary gland in our brains to alert us. See what happened to you. See what happened
Mm,
around you. And then when our brain gets that alert, it secretes. Emotions are actually neurochemicals, right? Neurohormone. It is secreted from our brain and sent to a part of our body, pass a message to us. But we have not been socialized that way. Why maybe a Christian will feel angry and will say, no, I'm born again. I don't want to feel angry. Or for them to satisfy their religiosity, they might label it holy anger and unholy anger. Simply your brain telling you, hey, something you value has been violated. Something you value is about to be violated. If we understand that, then you're not going to feel. Fundamentally, we first need to understand what emotions are. So bad or good emotions, every emotion is your brain trying to tell you something. If we understand that, then we are going to open up ourselves and embrace what comes our way. But because
okay.
we have not been schooled to embrace the emotion, we say that it is data. How do I tap the data? Is data not information? The information in the data. If first of all I'm embarrassed that I'm feeling that way, feel less of God that I'm feeling that way. If first, I mean, there was a time, I think it was 10 then, when he was in year 6.
It seems we lost Dima for a few seconds there. Could you say what you said one more time, please? Well, I'm not sure what's up with the sound right now. We can't hear her yet. But if you're just tuning in, this is the On Air Book Club with TT. Now, Dinma Nwobi is here and we're talking about her book, Happify Your Life. I can see you, but I can't hear you, sadly. You may have to log out and log back in so that we can hear you. Technology has a way of doing that sometimes. But meanwhile, this is the book we're talking about. It's called Happify Your Life. And Dinma Nwobi is one of the best people to sort of dissect this issue of making sure we can try and go to bed happier. This is what the back cover of the book looks like. And it does say here that happier people are healthier, they enjoy deeper connections, live longer in a world filled with disruptions, disappointments, and discouragements. It's easy to feel depressed, disengaged, or dissatisfied. And in this book, The Queen of Happiness and Human Flourishing, Dinma herself simplifies the science of human flourishing into practical routines. And of course, reminders that will help you feel better and hopefully broaden to start your day. So, hey, you want to live your best life? You want to go to bed happier? You want to at least get on the journey? She has some tips here where you can learn how to befriend your emotions, mind the chatter, and navigate limiting thought patterns and beliefs and making empowering choices. Thank you so much for joining us. It's highly appreciated that you're right there. Dinma, are you back? Okay, she's not back yet, but she'll be back soon. Now, if you would like to be part of this particular program, we would love to have you join us by maybe just sending a chat or comment into the comment section. If you have a question, Dima and I will do what we can to answer. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I
Fantastic.
had to log out and log in again because I was just
Yes,
listening, but I could see that your mouth as well.
I can imagine. Technology has a mind of its own sometimes.
Oh my. And then we were something very important, which is a critical part of this book.
Mm,
Interestingly, I was having a conversation with my husband yesterday, and he said to me, Dima, one of the best gifts you gave to us by writing Happify Your Life was teaching us about sitting with our emotions.
mm,
Because
mm,
we're not taught to do that. And it is when we're able to do that that we can use the emotions for the purpose that it was sent for. I mean, if somebody who is feeling anxious is not able to say, why am I feeling anxious in the moment? And then you sit with it and you are able to write what you feel is making you anxious. How do you problem solve? Because anxiety is actually your brain telling you, hey, something is about to go wrong here. But if you are so caught up with the heart palpitations, with the heaviness of the head, you will not know that what anxiety actually wants you to do is to sit down and create an action step to avert that danger that anxiety is telling you may happen. A friend of mine calls me yesterday and says, Dima, she first of all chatted me and said, do you have a minute? I said, okay, call me. And she calls me and says to me, Dima, something happened with me and my superior yesterday, and I'm still angry. I feel bad that I'm still angry a day after, and it's affecting my work. And I said to her, it depends on the intensity of what you felt was violated. That is why your anger is exceeding one day. So don't beat yourself up for staying angry beyond a day. What you need to do is to sit with that anger, to say, why am I still angry? And when she sat with it, it was a derogatory statement that the supervisor made that she could pin to why she was still angry. But in that state where she was trying to, macho her way out of the anger, she wasn't able to get the message. And so she was able to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do based on why I'm angry. And in the book, I shared an analogy of the firefighter. Say, for example, you're dealing with pain of betrayal, hurt, and each time you want to sit with it, it just brings tears to your eyes. Please cry. Let it all out. Even tears themselves are therapeutic. Or you've lost a child and you're feeling like a sense of guilt, you're feeling, oh, if I had done this, my child will still be here, or your loved one jilted you, whatever be the gravity of pain, my heart is with you. But I want to let you know that as the firefighter, imagine a firefighter coming to rescue some people trapped in a building. If you notice the way that fire works, when you open the door, you let in oxygen, and immediately oxygen goes, the first thing that happens is the fire will catch up, and it's like it's getting worse. So you could say the firefighter should not open the door, because if he opens the door, there will be more oxygen in and the fire will rage more. But it is only by opening the door that the firefighter can save the people trapped there. So he's going to have to open the door and risk the extra oxygen that will come in. But he knows that immediately he enters and he shuts the door behind him, the oxygen will no longer be supplied and the fire can quench down and it can rescue the people. Think about it when you are struggling to sit with painful, unpleasant, heartbreaking emotions. Think of the firefighter. That it is only when you are able to open the door, to confront the pain, to confront the discomfort, that is only when you can actually tap into the root of your pain, and it is then that healing can take place. It is then that meaningness can be increased. It is then that you can live your authentic life. Because if I don't know why I'm sad frequently, I would not know what I need to change so that I'm no longer sad. If I
I'm
don't know
going to
why
take
I'm
Okay, I'm
yeah,
so sorry to cut you. I know that if I leave you, you will continue going on. I wanted to touch on a particular word you used,
yeah,
authentic. Now you do have a chapter 11, and you talk about being shamelessly authentic. Now there are some who have found a way to be authentic, or connect with what the world sees to be authentic. um but other people think of it as lying to yourself. When, for instance, you're probably in some kind of relationship where the love is not both ways, and you've decided to live an authentic life that way and accept things as they are. There are a lot of couples going through that kind of thing, where they've just basically, in Yoruba we say, "Wọ́n ti gba kámú." They just accept what they've been given,
yeah,
and they've decided to live with it. Mm. Then there are some on the opposite side of the coin who have decided to give a middle finger to everything and everyone, even at work, even in place of business, under the guise of being authentic.
yeah.
This is me. And they are brash, and they
Mm-hmm,
are unapologetic.
mm-hmm,
Um, so there are two very harsh divides here, two
mm-hmm.
opposite sides. How do you
Yeah.
find a balance? And let's talk about that chapter, being shamelessly authentic.
Thank you, Titi, for that. The whole of Titi.
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Oh, great. The
I
whole
can.
of Happify Your Life is, I love every chapter in it, but my heart is like tying to the chapter on shamelessly authentic because it just resonates so much with me. So to answer your question, let me just read from page 282. All right. So in
Okay.
282,
Okay.
I share Brene Brown's definition of authenticity from the work she's done, which she documented in her book, The Gifts of Imperfection. And she said that authenticity is the daily practice of letting go of who we are supposed to be. There are three critical things that comes out from it. Number one is, we in being authentic, you daily, so see the word daily practice. So you are not living in denial. It is you recognizing, which is why I say that to live the happified life, we have to commit to practicing radical self-acceptance, recognizing that this is the kind of relationship I wish I had, but this is what I have. And if this is what I have, what will I make with it? What you make with it could also be, I don't want to have this, and you're taking a walk. That's an authentic decision. Then, if you also choosing to be there, it is number one, cultivating the courage to be imperfect. One of the things that makes us not embrace authenticity, not to be shamelessly who we are, is we have this lie in our head that we are supposed to be perfect. So if I make a mistake in English grammar, I'm feeling like, hey, I'm courageous to be imperfect. The more you are able to accept that you are not anywhere near perfection, the more you can be vulnerable to, to make the best of the situation you have. Secondly, it is us being able to exercise compassion from knowing that we are a bundle of strengths and struggles. So if I'm struggling with something or one domain of my life, say for example, relationship, in Happify Your Life, I talked about the 12 dimensions that make for a harmonious life. So if somebody is having challenges in relationship, you are much more than relationship. What of your point of life? What of your life purpose? What of your children? If it's in business, you are having a challenge. There are other domains of life that can feed you the purpose. It's because we always think in terms of permanence, that our problems are permanent. We think of pervasive, that if I'm having one challenge here, it affects every part of my life. To practice authenticity, we ought to like be fully conscious of our values. A
Mm,
lot of us are just living by the day. If I don't know what I value and what makes life meaningful for me, I will go with the crowd, but then there will still be that aching emptiness inside of me because I'm not validating what makes me unique. I mean, I
mm,
give you a story. So I said I came back on Monday from Dubai with my
mm.
sister, one of my
Yeah.
sisters, see, and so we went to just play. And then I went out on the streets and I was dancing on the zebra crossing. And my mother calls my sister to say, what were you people doing there? Were you not there? This lady, mother of 4 children, shaming herself. But I was just doing myself because zest is one of my strengths. So, in living shamelessly authentic, we need to know our values. We need to know what our strengths are so that even we can be comfortable with missing out.
Mm,
A man who does not understand himself that suffers from FOMO. The fear of missing out is
mm,
nothing for a person who is well adjusted in himself, which is why that chapter on living shamelessly authentic, I
mm,
put an elaborate exercise that helps you to elicit what makes life meaningful for you as an individual, and then learning how you can live those values daily. That's how
mm.
you can be shamelessly authentic.
Honestly, there's so much we can do to unpack that particular chapter, being shamelessly authentic, being you, having people connect with a particular spirit. But I want to touch on another spirit, and this is the spirit of gratitude. Now, there are a lot of speakers, a lot of motivational speakers, a lot of coaches who have talked about the importance of gratitude. I myself, I know, have benefited from speaking on how grateful I am on almost a daily basis. But when it comes to happifying your life, for someone who probably doesn't feel anywhere close to happy, they
Yeah.
don't understand this um, ideology, I'll call it, of expressing gratitude. I need for you to unpack it in the best way possible so that someone who probably hasn't said thank you in a long time can maybe start saying thank you today.
Okay. So I'm going to start a bit. I'm going to tell us a bit about the brain and how we work, so that it helps us to understand the power in gratitude. Um, so this is it. As human beings, so long as we have a brain and a spine, we will always think. And sometimes people come to me and they say, Dinma, I want to learn how to think positive thoughts. And I said to them, it is only going to happen when you have joined Jesus. If you're on earth here, you will think positive and negative thoughts, because that is how nature made it. First of all, as a survival mechanism. If all we had was the capacity to think positive thoughts, then things would have happened to us, because we wouldn't have bothered if a car hit us, we wouldn't have bothered if we needed to hustle to eat. We'll just be there and life will just pass us by, right? So because we have what is called the negativity bias, we have a tendency to blow out of proportion negative things that happen to us. And remember, when I talked about the science of positive emotion, there is an other side of it. While positive emotions make us, build us up, like we want to go for more things that will give us more positive emotions, and then it opens us up socially, psychologically, and intellectually. The reverse happens when we are overwhelmed with negative emotions. So if it's negative things happening and you're thinking all sorts of negative emotions, your brain literally closes down. Your rational brain is literally shut down. So you can't problem solve well. You can't think critically. You can't even regulate your emotions, right? So what does gratitude do to us? Gratitude helps us to look at the tiniest little thing and to direct our thoughts to think positively of it, so that we can counter the negativity bias. And there's so much research on it. When you talked about somebody who doesn't have any reason to be grateful, let me share something with you. One of the interventions that has been shown to help even people that are clinically depressed is the practice of gratitude. To see
Mm.
that if a person can think through, and it doesn't have to be something big. It could just be like, for example, what we're doing today will make it to my gratitude journal. I'm grateful that I'm able to share this time with Titi to teach somebody something that can improve their life. It's as
Mm.
simple as that. I don't need
Mm.
to win $1 million in lottery for me to
Mm.
feel grateful. But because we are always, as human beings, we're always thinking of the big things, we lose sight of the tiny little blessings. Okay.
Mm.
So that is what gratitude does. I give you a story. A young lady was tired of her marriage, like all what her husband does wrong was what she was seeing. And then a nun challenged her to begin to keep a gratitude note of the good things about her husband. At
Mm.
first, like, which good things? This man that is giving me stress. And so she started. So the lady said to her, just anything. She said, oh, today he walked the dog. Tomorrow
Mm.
he helped their child with his homework. The other day he was coming back from work and he brought back the clothes from the line. And as she did that, she began to see that there were things, because she had been so focused, remember the negativity bias, on
Mm.
the big things the man was not doing right. She had lost sight of the tiny little blessings he was bringing to the day.
Mm.
And the more she did that, the more our relationship improves. I can't even begin to tell you stories. I've been in therapy with couples who just came to just try therapy as last resort. And one of the interventions I use in my couples flourishing together coaching therapy is, you have to say something you're grateful for your partner on each session. So you
Mm.
come in session, one of the things you're what you're grateful for. What
Yeah.
it does is, then I ask the other partner, hearing this from your partner, how does that make you feel? Remember, people typically will come for therapy when they have shouted their heads off. So
Sure.
what the partner has consistently heard is all the bad things he has been doing. But reflecting on gratitude helps you to even reflect on the tiny things, even if he agreed to come for therapy.
Mm.
And that even makes me feel that she's noticing some things. What it does is that it makes them want to now discuss the difficult things. It breaks the barrier and they are able to talk about the difficult things. In fact, expressing gratitude has been linked to heart health. That people
Wow.
were, I wrote, is that in my book with the reference to the journal. People
Wow.
who
Mm.
practice expressing gratitude have less risk of cardiac arrest. And test was not done with people with, in quotes, who had normal health. It was done
Mm.
with people who already had cardiovascular issues. So
Wow.
control group, they were not writing their gratitude, the others were writing, and the next scan subsequently showed that the people who kept a gratitude journal had a reduction in the possibility of having a stroke.
Mm.
That is how much gratitude can rewire our brains and even help us to be more joyful.
I'm actually thinking back now because I didn't even understand how powerful it was. A few years ago, while I was still on the radio,
Yeah.
um, I had a segment of my show where I would ask people to call in
Mhm.
and say what they were grateful for.
Oh, wow. Wow.
And I used to do it for, I think it was a 10-minute session. And it was just about opening the phone lines and giving everyone 30 seconds to say what they were grateful for. And someone reached out to me and said, just because they heard it on the radio, they had to actually start thinking about the things that they were grateful for. So it was a way to sort of recalibrate people's minds who were probably in traffic, having road rage, probably just had a rough day at work, or maybe they just had an argument with a partner or a spouse. And then suddenly somebody comes on the radio and says, so what exactly are you grateful for? And I open up the phone lines and people start calling in. And other people listening in their cars were hearing what other people were grateful for and probably wondering, why am I not showing gratitude for having even more than that?
Yeah.
Now, I had quite a slow start to my show before then. But as soon as those phone lines started ringing and people started calling, it was just amazing. Sponsors started calling, management were, giving me accolades and the like. And it wasn't really about the accolades; it was about the energy and the
Mm.
positivity around it, which definitely made me feel a lot happier when the show was over. Um, Now there are a lot of us who have,
Titi,
probably not picked.
just give me a minute.
Go
I
ahead.
wanted to tie something in. When we started this conversation, you were saying something about a person who wasn't particularly feeling happy. So I just
Yes.
want to tie something to how that person can quickly begin to practice gratitude,
Mm,
and something a little bit additional. So
mm,
in Happify Your Life, the forward was written by a master trainer of
mhm,
neuro-linguistic programming, right? Innocent Usa. And he said to me in his work, it just came to me as you were sharing your own experience. In his work, he uses gratitude intervention to work with his clients. But then
mm,
he learned something from the way I expressed it, which he has started to apply. And I want to share it with our listeners. So, in addition to, when you're feeling depressed, it is actually an on a spectrum of hopelessness,
mm,
depending on where you are at on the depression scale, right? And so, one of the ways that I talked about in the book, you want to do in expressing gratitude, beyond writing what you are grateful for, you want to take a moment to reflect on what you did, how you
mm,
contributed to that good thing happening.
mm,
And that is where the joker is. To say that in that state of seeming hopelessness, in that state of feeling there's nothing good about me, I'm not amounting to anything, even if you are able to recount a little contribution you did, it grows your self efficacy. It boosts your confidence that I'm something. It's
mm.
not all bad after all. So that's the
And
addition I put there.
and it's so interesting because you go further in your book a little later on to talk about happier people, not just being healthier.
Yeah.
You also went forward, you talk about people that are happier, more likely to achieve their goals.
Yes, please. Yeah.
So there is, you are saying from your book, and we have to rush through this particular aspect now. You're saying that happier people are more likely to succeed. Let's.
Yes, say that. And out there on the street, we say when you are successful, you are happy. But we've seen that. Remember, I will always take it back to the science of positive emotions, what it does to us psychologically, mentally, socially, and otherwise. That if you are in that state of happify, then you are in your most creative state. And if you are in your most creative, that if you notice from the book, There are actually different components that increases happiness. I talked about positive emotions, right? And its place in keeping us happyfied. Oh my goodness, Nigeria has struck. Um, Titi, are you there? I'm in total darkness, but I can see.
No, you're not. You're not. I can hear your voice. Don't
Okay,
worry. Don't worry.
okay,
Just keep speaking. If you
all
can
right.
find a torch or something, maybe we can use that. But
I
keep
don't
speaking. We can hear you loud and
think
clear. Go
we'll
ahead.
sort. So there are components I talk that makes for the happifying life. There's positive, the place of positive emotions. There's the place of engagement where you understand who you are and you're bringing purpose to your daily living. I talked about the being purpose being beyond the bedroom, beyond the boardroom. Sorry, because sometimes some people, particularly women, feel that if they are not high achievers career-wise, then they are not purposeful. That is a lie from the pit of hell. There's the element of relationships when you are able to thrive. And interestingly, I also talked about nurturing your relationships, not necessarily for the other person, but for yourself as self-care. That is another chapter that people always call me and like, Dinma, I don't understand what you did here, but I see where it makes sense. Then also there's a place of meaning, there's a place of achievement, and there's a place of living a vital life. So if going for experiences that make you happy can increase your vitality, can keep you engaged, can keep life meaningful, can improve your relationships, then it definitely will lead you to being successful, because it now critically means, what does success mean to you? If success is living my full life, then living the amplified life is the way to it. If
Mm.
success to you is making more money, then when you have positive emotions, you are more creative to create wealth. If so,
Honestly,
do you understand?
eh,
So
yes, I
when
do.
the
I do.
amplified life touches on every dimension of life that is important to you, that can show up on anybody's personal definition of success.
It's so amazing. I'm going through the Amazon website where your book is available for sale, for instance, and where you talked about how it all began and the messages, the where you were typing them into your phone. Everything is right here in your forward, I believe. Is it your forward or your first
Yes,
words? It's so interesting.
yeah, because the inspiration, the book is actually beyond a book now. Like I shared with you the
Mhm.
other day.
Sure, sure.
So
You
it's
you
turned
have a
into,
workbook as well. You have a workbook.
it has a journal, it has a tribe, a group of people reading the book together and practicing the life. Okay.
Amazing.
And when the inspiration came, I also was inspired to document the whole process, because eventually, sometime in the future, I'm going to talk about how a book became a movement. And so I need the documentations to buttress where it all began.
Mm, mm. I'm so appreciative that you were able to take out some time to talk to us today. And there's still so much more to talk about with regards this book, Happify Your Life. Now, if you're just tuning in, thank you so much for joining us. We can, of course, answer rather your questions in the comment section, whether it's LinkedIn or YouTube or any other platform you're listening to or watching us from. We will do what we can to respond to them. Of course, with people like Dima, you know that there's a little bit of a brighter light on the horizon, especially with books like this. Happify Your Life. Thank you so much for coming onto the On Air Book Club today.
Thank you, Titi, for having me, and it was my pleasure.
Hopefully, someone has learned something great today. Hopefully, someone has found a little bit more meaning in their world, irrespective of their age, irrespective of what has happened or what sort of situation you find yourself in. There is probably a message within a book that you've just not picked up yet. Maybe it might be this one. Thank you so much, Dima.
Yeah. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Please invite me to this tribe. I need to be part of this tribe.
I,
Just add me on and let's see how many more people we can help.
okay, okay. Thank you, Titi. I will send you the invite.
All right, then. All right. All right, then. Dinma will be there. An amazing, amazing individual. I've known her for quite a while, and um, the effort, energy, positivity she puts into her work, it radiates through her in every single way. Exactly how you saw her just now and heard her just now, that is exactly how she is. And she's such a joyful person, and it's great to be in her presence. I'm going to find excuses to hang out with her more. Honestly, I should. I think I need to make those moves. It has been the On Air Book Club, and my name is Titilayo Oyinson. I do what I can to share my love for books, for literature, for what I can find within the pages of a book, and I try to share it with as many people as possible. Why? Because you never know who you might be helping. You never know where you might find yourself. You never know what messages might just change someone's world. All right, then, if you would like to be on the On Air Book Club, all you have to do is send me an email. It's the Dynamite Podcast Network, Dynamite Podcast Network at gmail.com. Dynamite Podcast Network at gmail.com. Just send me an email. Or maybe there might be a book that you would like to recommend to us, or an author you would like to recommend to us. Please just hook up with us via email. Now, there are a lot of podcasts that I'm working on right now, and all these messages are for people just like you. Please send in your comments, contributions, suggestions. They are always welcome. Once again, via email or right there in the comment section of this particular post. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, my name is Titilayo Oyinson. Thanks for listening.